And then I do think they have to figure out the starting lineup, because you can't do this like, let's put out the guys that have earned it in practice and then we get down early in a game and then we start playing the better players. They have to figure it out. And I do think at the end of the day, the best version of this team is probably Cadeau at the point guard,
Right.
probably Cormac at the shooting guard position, probably Jalen Withers for the athleticism on the wing at the 3, probably Ingram as a small ball 4, and probably Baycott at the 5. And that leaves a guy in RJ Davis out of the mix, you know what I mean? Because RJ's become such a gunner as a scorer that he's not initiating offense and creating opportunities for other people. And if he continues to play with blinders on, he's going to have to come off the bench and just be a scorer and be a gunner, you know what I mean? And be like a Lou Williams type. And I think that decision will never be made. So now you have the same kind of situation where Hubert's got to play, favorites. I mean, it happened with Roy Williams, with, Day'Ron Sharpe and Walker Kessler. It's like Garrison Brooks and Armando Bacot have earned these minutes. Well, okay, that's fair and all, but when the whole team knows the other two guys are better, it creates friction, and a team can fall apart. I like that they're close. I do. I like that they all like each other. So maybe it doesn't boil up and Cadeau seems content to come off the bench, but he's the best point guard on the team. There's no doubt about it. And he makes Armando's life easier. He'll make Cormac's life easier. He'll make Harrison Ingram's life easier. And RJ and him cannot play, I don't think, as 1 and 2. I just don't think they're big enough. So, I mean, there are still a lot more questions than answers with this team. And I think, if anything, going to the Bahamas, we're going to have to see some of those questions tested, and we'll see what happens.
Tate, I gotta push back, man. RJ's not. RJ can't come off the bench.
Well,
He's
of course,
but he's.
of course you can. That's why I said you can't make the tough decision. Like,
I know,
what I mean?
but
That's the problem with Carolina basketball right now. You know what I mean? We all have to placate, the people as opposed to the basketball. And poor Hubert Davis is in the middle of it, and he had to do it last year because Caleb had Drew Hanlon and Jason Tatum's camp saying you got to be the point guard, and then he comes in and RJ's like, I was the point guard when we were good last year. Do you remember this? And Caleb's like, I remember I hit the shot. and that's what it was. You know what I mean? That was the standoff between them. So, and now you have a guy who's a better true point guard playing behind him that the fan base is excited about. Now you create, you know what I mean? It's just,
yeah. I mean,
it's
my
tough.
thing.
It's
My
tough.
thing is,
can he play the 2? No, he can't. So he can't be
yeah.
the shooting guard. So you've just created, now we have another situation. That's what I'm concerned about with this team. I just think that there's going to be conversations to be had about the starting lineup throughout the year. And I do wish that it was more settled. And I like the 10 guys. And sometimes it's when you have too many guys, you need a 7-man rotation. We have a 10-man rotation. So Hubert's got a lot to figure out. I feel bad for him.
With RJ, I just think like his ability to get a bucket. I mean, he's proven it on the biggest stage. Like,
right.
He's had flashes, where he's gotten teammates involved and everything. I don't know. I think
he can do it. He can do it. When RJ is playing his best, like he did, the end of February or mid-February to the end of the season 2022, that was RJ at his best. He was taking what the defense gave him. He was creating a shot if he needed to. He was initiating the offense. He was starting the break. It was great. And I don't know if it was a little bit of Caleb that rubbed off on him, but he has had some moments so far this season where Cormac is wide open, or Harrison is wide open, or even Armando, and he has just taken a shot with blinders on, and it hurts my heart because I don't want that to be the case. But maybe Cadeau will push him to play a different way. Let's hope.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the middle about it because my issue is like I was so excited. No offense, I have to say this every time because I don't want it to be a shit on Caleb Love podcast, but I was excited for an actual offense to be ran. Like, there's no more Caleb Love. There shouldn't be the shot chucking. The issue that I have now is I think RJ is now just Caleb Love. Like, when he looks good, it's really, really good. But like, even in the Riverside game, obviously that's against bad competition. 1 of 7 from 3, 3 of 11 from the field, 4 assists, fine, whatever. But it's like, I'm not going to say to bench him just because I do think that.
No, I'm not saying to bench him. I'm just saying you've created a situation now where you have the better point guard coming off the bench. And now you're going to have to make, like, Paxton Wojcik's playing 4 minutes of the game, right? And then he's coming out of the game for us to put in Withers or Washington, which I think Jalen Washington's looked great as well. But in the Lehigh game, RJ has 0 assists. Elliot Cadeau has 1 assist. Seth Trimble had the most assists on the team. So Seth needs to be playing as well, and Seth's the best perimeter defender that they have. So it just feels like I wish we could take RJ's offense and Seth's defense and mold them into one player, because he would be the best point guard in the country. He'd probably win the Kuzma Award. And
Yeah,
now you got to figure out the minutes between these guys.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. I think every guy on the bench I would rather have in the lineup than Paxson right now. Just going to be honest.
He could end up being the 10th guy he could end up being the 10th guy, which is, it's nice to have that depth. And Paxson is a plus player. I think he can impact the game in a good way, and I think he's a good locker room guy. I think there's a lot of pluses. Like I said, he's winning in practice to be able to be a starter. But eventually, we play an SEC team, right? Like a Tennessee, and Dalton Knecht is, going off for 15 points in the first half. And we're like, who are we going to put on this guy?
Yeah.
It's probably going to have to be Withers, right? You know what I mean? Or maybe Harrison Ingram. Who knows?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned Withers at the 3. I don't know. I like buy Withers from a splashy play perspective. Like the blocks, obviously, that we saw against Riverside were tremendous, and he's an athlete and everything, but he misses a lot of box outs. He'll lose his man off ball. Like, I think his role in like a 15 to 17 minute game is perfect. Where I don't think we had any, like, I don't think Hubert had any Jalen Withers post ISOs against Riverside, which was good. Like, that's not his game. And he had a couple against Lehigh. Like, if he can stand in the corner, pick and pop, block shots, like for 15 to 20 minutes, that's perfect for him. But I was even going to say, like, I thought some of those rotations looked pretty good against Riverside. Like, one of my biggest encouragements was we saw extended playing time with Cadeau, RJ, Cormac, Ingram, and Armando in the first half, which I sort of think that's going to ultimately be the starting lineup, which, it's going to have those size limitations in the backcourt. But at the same time, if we see Carolina turn to that full court press that they did, or actually blitz ball screens, like when they were blitzing ball screens, I'm like, man, has UNC done this at all under Hubert? Like, when they've been up, when they've had a lead, like, I really don't think they have. And it was awesome to see. And I think that's, I'm not like an X's and O's or coaching guru by any like measure, but it just seems logical to me that when you have a small backcourt and you lack size and athleticism on the perimeter, you make up for it by being feisty. It's almost like what, like that Iowa team with Keegan Murray that was like awful on defense. They figured something out when they started pressing a little bit.
Yeah, will Hubert press, though? I mean, that's the question. And if he does, I think that's a great point. That's what he should do, because then it picks up the pace. Now you're getting in, transition. You got the secondary break. I mean, that is the best version of Carolina basketball. And if you have Trimble behind these guys, you have some depth to help them out, because I think Seth should be playing. I do think Seth
I
is
agree.
playing some good basketball, and he's connected. He's getting guys involved. He's obviously a great defender, especially on ball. So if Hubert will do it, that's really that's why this year I think is going to come down to, like, this is going to have to take a good coaching effort, because you have a lot of pieces that are interesting, right? Like, you can argue Jalen Washington should be out there, Trimble, Cadeau, whoever it is. But, like, Hubert's got to figure out the minutes, and I think every game's going to be a different journey. It's all going to be matchup based, so it's going to be a lot of, we can't script things out. We're going to have to react and be proactive as much as possible. So I hope he does it, and I think he can do it. And I know a lot of the the UNC proper people are down on Hubert, but at the end of the day, Pat Riley and Michael Jordan were his recommendations. So how can you say no to a guy that had those recommendations, and he is a Carolina guy? And I think this is a good test for him, to be honest. I mean, they have the talent. They do have the talent, which is good.